The wind howled through the remains of Serenost, tossing scraps of crumbling metal and shattered glass at me like the remnants of a forgotten world. I crouched against the jagged edge of a collapsed building, the only cover in a city where shadows had teeth. In my hands, I gripped a rusty wrench, an antique really, its significant weight a comfort against the chaos outside. I could hear the drone of the arbiters drawing near, the ominous whir of mechanical wings slicing through the air like a knife. Justice must be served. The mechanical voice echoed ominously through the ruins. The arbiters operated under a chilling mandate: eradicate those who resisted the will of the new dominion. In times like these, my heart raced with pulse and pounding as I listened to their cold proclamations that ruled our shattered lives. Time had dripped steadily away during these dark days, but the fear remained a constant companion, a snarling beast gnawing at my insides. The night of the Fallacy raid had tipped the balance for me, morphed the once proud cities into graves of laughter and desperation. I still replayed the night in my mind like a broken holograph, each jarring moment seared into my memory, the sight of flames swallowing my childhood home, the laughter of my sister trapped forever in a sunbeam that would never shine again. I had sworn to bury that moment with her, but it gnawed at my conscience like a festering wound. I exhaled shakily, crouching lower as the hum intensified. I caught a glimpse of their metallic figures gliding over the ruins, their searching beams penetrating the darkness, illuminating the debris of our humanity. Their belief in order had turned them into merciless judges of the innocent. My knees were clever, though. They knew where to scratch against the rough ground. It was a reminder that we were still flesh, still alive. Enough to fight, enough to evade. Breath by breath, I strategized, heavy boots making little sound against the concrete beneath. My heart pulsed in rhythmic urgency, calling me into action each time I caught sight of the arbiters. My friend, Lang, had been caught in one of their traps last week, and I hadn't been there to save him. Guilt coiled tightly around my chest, suffocating my breaths, but even more, the spark of rage ignited me. Every loss etched a heavier weight on my shoulders. I was no hero, maybe not even brave, but I was still human. And so far, in refusing to comply with the Dominion's commands, I had survived another day. The arbiters spotted a flicker of movement. Their glowing eyes blinked in sync, scanning every corner. I knew I should duck down, blend with the shadows of crumbling bricks, but there was another presence that had startled me. Another survivor, one I had not expected to see. A silhouetted figure rose from the other side of the worn thoroughfare, holding their breath, clutching something. An object glimmering in the dim light. I almost shouted to get down, but reality wrapped a cold hand around my throat. I recognized the figure, and before I could process it, they turned to me. A face I'd known since before the world fell apart. Tall, with tangled hair that bobbed in the wind, Vera. She had always been reckless, one of my oldest friends, possibly the most impulsive decision maker I knew, always throwing caution into the wind whenever a spark of rebellion ignited her spirit. Jeremiah, as she hissed, urgency braided with fear. We can't keep hiding. They've taken everything we had. We have to. What? You think we're just going to march out there and fight them? I shot back, my voice louder than I intended. My heart raced at the prospect, not just fear of the arbiters, but fear of losing the last tether of my past. We'd already lost so much. She clenched her jaw, the fire in her eyes dimming momentarily. But the determination returned, an old flame resurrected. If we don't fight, we surrender. The arbiters will keep hunting us until there's no one left. Don't you see, this is bigger than us, bigger than just survival. Her words echoed in my mind, my heart pounding in rhythm with a memory of us climbing trees and laughing in sunlight. The kind of sunlight that made shadows seem insignificant. But what do you suggest we do? You can't take on a battalion of arbiters by yourself, Vera. She tipped her chin defiantly, and in that moment I could see the girl I'd admired, risked everything for, and trusted above all others. We create a distraction. We rally the others. There are still pockets of survivors. If we hit the supply depot tonight while they're distracted, We could give people hope. We could find a mirror. With enough supplies, we can build a base. My throat tightened, and each passing second brought the wumps of the arbiters closer to our hideout. I could either stay frozen in fear or leap into the abyss of uncertainty. Vera's gaze pierced through the chaos, her resolve carrying a flicker of the potential we had forgotten, a strength buried under the weight of despair. "Jeremiah," she urged, a whisper now as the hum of their metallic wings blended with the pounding of my heart. "Are you with me?" Outside, the world lay broken and treacherous, danger lurking behind every crumbling corner. The stakes had never been higher, and in this moment, sparring with reckless bravery, I felt the whispers of my sister's laughter echoing in the recesses of my mind. We were all that remained of a dream once pursued, the dream of a united humanity crumbling with each passing day. "With a take, no prisoners resolve," I nodded. "Let's make them remember what we are." With that, we steeled ourselves against the oncoming tide, determined to reclaim our lost dignity. Vera took the lead, and I followed, ready to carve out a glimmer of hope in a world cloaked in despair. Together, maybe we could awaken the strength of humanity one pulse, one heartbeat at a time. As Vera and I emerged from our hiding spot, the ruins of Serenost stretched out before us like a labyrinth of lost dreams. The sun dipped below the jagged horizon, casting surreal shadows that danced across the debris. We were fractals of hope amidst the cold decay, and with determination carved into our brows, we navigated the treacherous alleyways that twisted through the heart of the city. The remnants of once familiar buildings loomed overhead, their skeletal structures scraping against the heavens, a constant reminder of the world that had been. Blades of rusted metal jutted out precariously, like teeth waiting to bite, while the aroma of oxidized machinery clung in the air like a ghost, a memory of the ingenuity, the progress we had lost. But hope shot through the night like the sting of static electricity. Our plan pulsed with life, a rhythm distinct from the hum of the arbiters above. Remember the old sewer networks. They are a good route to get to the depot without being seen, Vera urged, her eyes alight with excitement and determination as we crouched against a crumbling wall. I nodded, recalling those tunnels filled with laughter and echoes of childhood exploration. They had once been our playground, now they might be our salvation. We made our way to the access hatch, dodging the gaze of prowling drones above. In the dim light, I could barely see Vera's confident smile, but the energy between us crackled with understanding as we descended into the musty darkness of the tunnel. The air was thick and stale, heavy with the fog of neglect. The faint sounds of the city morphed into muffled echoes, and for the first time in weeks, I felt a flicker of exhilaration. "Remember when we explored these tunnels with Lang?" Vera whispered as we ducked beneath the low, hanging pipes that snaked through the passage. "We'll get back there, you know. Let's focus on the present, first the depot, then Lang," I replied. But a pang of uncertainty gnawed at me. Supplies meant nothing without my friend. We couldn't afford to lose him, the very heart of our makeshift family. We sprang through the tunnels, their worn stones absorbing sound and light, making us feel like shadows gliding through ancient history. Finally, we reached a heavy metal door leading into the supply depot. The door stood ajar as though someone had just left, adding an air of tension. With a nod, Vera pushed the door open, revealing a dimly lit interior littered with crates and machinery, likely pillaged from surrounding homes. The air was thick with the smell of oil and metal, and the groan of machinery echoed as the last remnants of fading technology sputtered to life. "SHH, be careful," Vera whispered, her voice a soft breeze in the enveloping shadows. I caught her eye as we crept inside, but my heart thumped louder than my silent steps. The depot appeared empty, announcing our arrival with dusty silence. Then my heart lurched. I caught movement. To my left, a flicker under a half-toppled crate caught my attention. Over there, I pointed, inching closer. I felt the tension tighten in Vera's stance as we approached. As we neared the crate, something small and metallic gleamed in the gloomy light. The abandoned crate jolted, and before I could react, a small figure darted from below, scrambling away. Wait, Vera lunged after it, but the figure weaved past her like a phantom. I instinctively gave chase, adrenaline sparking through me, until it finally spun around, revealing a pair of wide, terrified eyes. "Please don't hurt me," the girl cried, collapsing into a crouch. She couldn't have been older than 10, skin smudged with grime, but still alive, occasional streaks of sunlight finding its way to her, despite the layers of decay surrounding her. "Oh, we're not going to hurt you," I said, my own heart racing with the conflict of protection and vulnerability swirling within me. "We're here to take supplies just like you." Vera dropped to one knee, attempting to meet the girl's frightened gaze. "Who are you?" the girl questioned, suspicion tinging her voice. "You're not with the Arbiters. You know, we're rebels. Just like you, I guess," I said, a flicker of hope igniting within me. I felt a strange kinship with her, a shared belief that we could outrun trauma and settle our trodden paths anew. "That's what everyone says," the girl said, clutching a faded doll that hung by a thread in her arms. The world felt merciless as she glanced behind us, the flicker of fear piercing through. "But they all lie. They sell you to the Arbiters. They take you away." Her voice trembled, reflecting the fear I wished to protect her from. "No one is going to take you," Vera said softly. "We're going to get you out of here." "What's your name, kid?" I chimed in, pushing back the doubt. "Essie," she reluctantly offered, still clutching the doll's tattered fabric close to her chest. A potent silence settled upon us as we sized each other up, a girl clinging to her innocence amidst a city bereft of it. Our connection seemed like a lifeline. "Okay, Essie. Why were you hiding here?" Vera asked kindly, her voice draping a gentle curtain around the girl's stormy emotions. "I'm looking for my brother," Essie replied, swallowing hard against the lump in her throat. "He's always telling me to be brave, but he vanished after the raids." Tears slowly brimmed her eyes, and I felt the weight of the world hang heavy around us all, tinged with anguish. "We'll help you find him, I promise," I said, crouching beside her. The shadows of our past swept in. They whispered of loss, of pain. Perhaps this was the kind of task that might tether us together, balance our fragile resolve. Her gaze flickered between Vera and me, assessing, reconsidering. "I want to come with you, but if the Arbiters find us, I wouldn't want anyone else to die. Then you stick with us." "We're good at evading," Vera reassured, rising to her feet, extending a hand. Essie hesitated before grasping Vera's fingers, a tentative gesture fueled by trust, a desperate search for solidarity within this darkness. Suddenly, the clanking of metal interrupted our moment, and I turned sharply, instincts on high alert. Arbiters were arriving, their urgent whirring echoing through the depot halls. "We have to go," I breathed. With swift urgency, I led Essie and Vera deeper into the maw of the depot, trusting my instincts, weaving through tall crates piled high with supplies and broken machinery. We clambered through a narrow corridor littered with remnants of gadgetry. "Keep low," I whispered, leading them as I pushed through debris hanging from the rafters. But just as we burst onto the opposite side of the corridor, we collided into something that knocked the wind from my lungs. A figure appeared, a man cloaked in shadows, standing against a dizzying backdrop of neon lights and rusted machinery. "Who's there?" he asked, voice low and deliberate, forcing my heart to quicken with the panic of discovery. "It's us. It's just us," Vera hurriedly replied. "We mean no harm." I could feel the tension coiling around us, every second threatening to curtail our progress as footsteps echoed closer. But the man's expression shifted when he finally stepped into the light, gray eyes shimmering beneath bedraggled hair, a familiar face carved by time. "Jeremiah, is that really you? Finn?" I stammered, incredulity washing over me as recognition hit. Finn was another survivor I'd grown up with, a gifted engineer before everything had fallen apart. We had lost contact when the Dominion turned our lives upside down. "I thought you were dead," he interrupted with a dry laugh, eyes glimmering like sparks in a blown fuse. "Changed, maybe, but not gone. There's no way I'd let the Arbiters take me alive." As he spoke, My thoughts raced. Everything had shifted in our world, but here, standing before me, was a flickering connection to my past. We're gathering supplies. We need to make a move before they find us. I quickly motioned him to join us, concern for Essie at the forefront of my mind. I could see the little girl flickering between fear and hope, her doe-like gaze darting back and forth between us. "Sounds like you need a plan," Finn said, striding forward with the surety of someone who had learned to adapt. "I've built out a secondary path to the surface that could lead us out of here, but we need to hurry." Before I could ask, an ear-splitting noise emerged from the darkness as a beam of light scanned the corridor. The arbiters were near, their presence growing heavier with every heartbeat. "Go now," Finn urged as he ushered us towards the back entrance. "I can stall them, but you have to move." Together, I countered. The urge to protect him surged through me. "No time," Finn snapped. "If they capture me, there's no one left to help you. You're not going to abandon easy prey when you're on higher ground, are you?" It was a calculated risk, one layered with sacrifice. The fear in his gaze mirrored my own, a fear that aimed to shield those still with breath, still alive. "Finn," I shouted, helplessness constricting around my throat. With a heavy heart, I made eye contact with Vera, her resolve clear amidst the chaos. "I won't let you down," I promised Finn as I took a step back, positioning myself in front of Essie. The walls around us pulsed with uncertainty as I watched Finn turn back to face the encroaching light, fading shadows closing around him. "Get out of here," he cried, revealing only half a silhouette before disappearing into the depths. In that very moment, I felt the weight of all our choices hang suspended, a new thread weaving into our story. Vera tightened her grip on Essie as we sped into the narrow passageway Finn had shown us, the sense of urgency igniting our steps. He might sacrifice himself for us, but we would not let his efforts go in vain. Together, we emerged onto a surface so bold and gritty that its presence screamed of struggle, a place where the world's decay battled with the remnants of humanity's will. Above us, the arbiters hovered, their harsh voices echoing through the night, commanding and cruel. "Search the vicinity, leave no corners unturned," but already we were tumbling. The fragile threads of fate had begun to weave themselves in new directions. Even if Finn stayed behind, we were creating something new. As the moon hung low, we fled into the safety of nearby ruins, a world untouched by the Dominion, a flicker of defiance crackling through our spirits. The question loomed over us like a specter. What was our meaning now, carved from the darkness of sacrifice? We were the harbingers of hope, and far beneath the surface, challenges awaited, hungry for the dawn. The tension of uncertainty surged within us, every pulse resonating against the flesh of fear and courage, singular threads weaving a tapestry only we could shape. No longer alone, we clung to each other as we disappeared into the shadows, ready to rewrite the narrative one heartbeat at a time. The remnants of old machinery jutted out from the ground like skeletal fingers, reaching toward a sky painted with dying stars. Vera, Essie, and I had ducked into the sanctuary of an old industrial district, far away from the gnarled grip of the arbiters hovering above the citadel. Tension still coiled tightly in my gut. Finn had sacrificed his freedom for our survival, and I couldn't shake the vision of him disappearing into the maw of darkness. "We have to regroup," I said, breaking the heavy silence as we settled into the ruins, the remnants of a forgotten factory offering enough shelter for now. "That's if we can find the others." Vera nodded, her brows knitting together in concern as she scanned our surroundings, half expecting the shadows to leap to life and devour us. We should find a safe place to lay low, get Essie fed, and figure out our next move. I glanced over at Essie. Her small frame trembled with a mixture of fear and exhaustion, her bright eyes dulled as they absorbed the wreckage around us. My heart ached for her. She was more than a survivor. She was a beacon of innocence amidst this madness. "The old subway tunnels are nearby," Vera suggested, her voice suddenly steady. "We could hide there until we figure out how to get back to the surface, to find the others." I felt a pull toward the same tunnels that had once held the laughter of childhood, now transformed into an eerie void of isolation. Okay, let's get moving. As we traversed the remnants that once hummed with life, the weight of my thoughts continued to knot. Finn had been our engineer, our anchor. Where would he go? What would he do? I regretted having let him play the decoy while I took the safe path. We couldn't afford to lose anyone else. With each step into the looming darkness, I felt the sharp delineation between hope and despair. When we finally reached the subway entrance, the tunnel loomed before us. An impenetrable black that swirled with memories and flickers of nightmarish dreams. The past echoed with voices of friends long lost, shattered by the weight of fear and loss. Each fragment a reminder that something good could emerge from this darkness. "Essie, stick close," Vera said softly, taking the girl's hand. "We'll keep you safe." Our footsteps echoed through the abandoned corridor, a ghostly reminder of the life that once buzzed with energy. The stench of decay clung to the air, and each inch forward sent shivers down my spine. "What if we find survivors?" Essie asked suddenly, her innocent voice breaking through the gloom. "Oh, what if they are nice people?" "There are still good people left," Vera promised, though I sensed the uncertainty swimming in her words. It wasn't just the endless thrum of fear. It was the dread of knowing how fragile alliances could be against the Arbiter's cold precision. As we navigated through the darkness, echoes of the past lurked around us, shifting shadows weaving themselves into our thoughts. "Did you ever think we'd wind up here?" I mused, my words a whisper born out of nostalgia that seemed to tangle with the present. In an abandoned subway, fleeing from merciless machines, "You and your dreams," Vera scoffed lightly, a hint of levity breaking through the weight that had settled between us. "I always expected to save the world." The darkness was our refuge, but the uncertainty woven through our paths began to gnaw at me. The deeper we ventured, the more I could feel the layers of the world cracking apart. The knowledge that we were playing against the clock, that the arbiters were relentless, and that hope could shatter as quickly as the turn of a page. We reached a small chamber where remnants of long, abandoned seats lay scattered like forgotten memories. Vera dropped to the floor, motioning for me to set Essie beside her. "We need a moment," she said, her voice heavy with fatigue. "We'll need to recharge." As Essie settled in, her tiny fingers tracing the outline of her doll, I felt the pang of loss settle around me once more. "Can you keep watch?" I turned to Vera. "I'll find something for us to eat." She raised an eyebrow. "This place has been picked clean. There might be some hidden leftovers. You know these tunnels better than I do." The memories of our youthful explorations fueled my resolve as I moved further into the darkness, pulling my own flashlight to illuminate forgotten corners. My heart raced as the shadows danced against the wall, taunting me with whispers of fragility and doubt. "Be careful, Jeremiah." Vera's voice echoed faintly behind me, tinged with concern. I nodded, even though I knew she couldn't see me. As I pressed deeper into the labyrinth of ruins, I stumbled upon a small alcove that opened into a once bustling maintenance room. My breath caught as I shone the light around, revealing remnants of food crates piled high, cans rusted with age and neglect, but still unbroken. Hope surged anew. "Vera, Essie, I found something," I called out, brimming with excitement. I swiftly began gathering what I could. A cache of long, abandoned juice pouches, cans of beans, the last vestiges of life, trapped behind layers of dust and decay. Upon reuniting with them, I could feel a glimmer of hope flicker in the air. "Here, look," I exclaimed, laying the precious found items in front of them. "It's not much, but it'll help." Essie's eyes widened, and a smile broke through her fear as she reached for the juice pouches. For a moment, I watched as both Vera and Essie found a slice of solace while we laid low and consumed what we could, simply reveling in the act of nourishment, a mundane ritual that felt monumental in times of despair. "How did you find this?" Vera marveled as she cracked open a can. "I just followed the memories," I replied, the warmth of nostalgia wrapping around us like a protective cloak. It didn't last long. Soon we were faced with the somber reality of our circumstances, each bite a reminder that this was a temporary haven, not a safety net. As the remnants of our meal faded into the distance, I felt an urgency rise within me. To fortify our defenses, to connect with anyone else out there still fighting against the encroaching darkness. We need a plan, I began, leaning forward. If Finn found a way out, we should be a sudden, splintering crash echoed through the tunnels, followed by the unmistakable sound of mechanical limbs clanging against rusted metal. My words halted as fear twisted in my gut, adrenaline surging through my veins. "They are here," Vera exclaimed, her eyes wide as she rallied Essie closer to her. "We need to move, now." Instinctively, I scanned the tunnel, heart racing. Shadows morphed into familiar shapes, and I felt the creeping dread coil over me. "What do we do?" Essie asked, clutching Vera's hand tightly. "We keep going as far as we can." Without another word, we sprang to our feet and dashed into the maze of ruins, the pounding of our hearts matching the thunderous footsteps echoing behind us. The weight of uncertainty hung in the air like a fog concealing what lay ahead, but darkness wrapped around us with every footfall. "This way," I shouted, guiding us through the twisting passages. Vera's grip remained unwavering, even as fear threatened to consume us. My breath quickened as I urged us onward, the rhythmic sound of clanking machines drawing closer, almost an insistent tugging on my mind. Memories of the past surfaced again, the good days, the laughter, but also everything the Dominion had taken from us. The burden of survival now forming a bond between us. We stumbled onto an exposed subway platform, remnants of old advertisements peeling away, reminding me of brighter times advertisements that now felt like relics from a distant past. There, I pointed toward a narrow passageway directly leading into the darkness beyond the visible light of the tunnel. We rushed toward it, unsure of what waited within. As we squeezed through, the haunting echoes of our pursuers melted into the distance. With every corner turned, I could feel the world shifting beneath us, a disconcerting plummet into uncertain realms. The deeper we delved, the more I sensed we were playing a dangerous game against forces much larger than us. What if we were racing toward an ending devoid of hope? But we had no time to consider those consequences. The distant humming became final. The arbiters would soon reach me. "This isn't safe here," Vera urged, scanning the passageway ahead. "We need to move." The sound of mechanical wings echoed around us, puncturing the air like iron. It suffocated our resolve. Suddenly, I noticed an old, mottled door slightly ajar, flickering with dying lights, an exit to something unknown. "There," I pointed again. "If we can get through that door, we might find a way out." We rushed toward it, anxiety nipping at our heels as shadows spilled around, now coalescing into visible forms behind us. Frantic whispers flitted through our minds, urging us to run, to survive. My heart pounded in sync with the sound of fleeting footsteps. "Get inside," I yelled. With a final burst of adrenaline, we pushed through the door, slamming it shut behind us. Darkness enveloped us instantly, the chill biting into my skin, but we were safe, at least for now. "What if they find us?" Essie whispered, her voice quaking with fear. "What if we're trapped? We'll figure it out," I assured her softly, kneeling beside the little girl. Anchoring herself against her fears was all I could do. We can't give in, not now. Vera shone her flashlight around the room, revealing more than we had anticipated: cables sagging from the ceiling, walls lined with screens flickering with half-formed information. My heart raced again, caught between hope and trepidation as I realized the potential in front of me. "It looks like a control room," I murmured, absorbing the sight of old technology still flickering with forgotten life. "Maybe there's something here we could use." "Like what?" Vera asked, kneeling beside me. "Anything that can help us communicate with others, find survivors." I began scanning the screens, and as I brushed my fingers along the quivering panels, They lit up, unraveling an entirely new world. The layers of information gradually revealed connections between us, the faces of others who had fought the same battles, displayed across faded screens. "We can connect with them," I exclaimed, the excitement bubbling over. "We could amplify the signal somehow. We could be the lifeline, but we're still trapped here." The arbiters were right on our tail, Vera reminded me, though her voice was less sharp now. "If we can tap into their system, we can figure out how to navigate these tunnels while dodging their patrols." My fingers danced across the panel, and with apprehension blossoming in my chest, I found signs of life. There was data, there were locations. "Look," I pointed at one screen. "We're not alone. There are survivors hiding in multiple sectors. We can reach them." The air buzzed with renewed hope. Vera stared in disbelief. This is incredible. "But it won't last long," Vera reminded me again, urgency coloring her tone. "If they find our signal," I straightened, forcing myself to focus. I had to swallow the fear. "I can encrypt our location. If we can manage to connect, we might be able to coordinate something. A larger strike against the arbiters. Or they could find us first," Essie exclaimed, her innocence cutting through the tension like a knife. "We can't stay here." The urgency was palpable. As my fingers moved across the control panel, screens flickering to life revealed labyrinthine networks connecting the depths and outskirts of the city. The digital world loomed before us, fragile but alive. I had a choice: to brave the uncertain paths forward or cling to the ghosts of the past which had suffocated so much hope already. "We have to take that chance," I said, my heart racing as I reached for the control panel. "Someone has to take the first step." Together, we mustered our courage, knowing that the shadows were already closing in. I began inputting commands, fighting against the rising tide of dread coiling around us. "I'll patch into the network," I decided, feeling a surge of determination as I watched the screens rapidly decipher the distinct chaos swirling outside. A momentary silence fell upon us as the screens blinked methodically, displaying teeming routes for survivors, the unseen connections mapping our fight out of isolation. I locked eyes with Vera and Essie, gauging their resolve. "Are you with me?" I asked, my voice low but intense. "We can't let the light fade now, not when we are so close." "Yes," Vera's voice was resolute. "Yes, we are. I trust you," Essie added quietly, and I felt a rush of warmth that pushed at the edges of despair. The old world was fragmented, but together we could stitch it together anew. In that stolen moment we became something magical, a tapestry woven from threads of history, struggle, and relentless hope. As I finished programming the signal, my breath caught in my throat. It was now or never. It was time to face everything that loomed in those shadows, the arbiters seeking our failures, the past demanding we remember. But beneath it all burned the legacy of our choice. The wisdom born from sorrow, the desperate threads pieced together in the face of adversity. As the screens illuminated the darkness around us, I felt a fresh determination bloom. A pulse, a heartbeat woven from the courage of 3 unlikely allies poised against the oncoming storm. We were stronger together, and this was only the beginning. With one last breath, I pressed the final command, sending our signal out across the void. The world had become a dark, unforgiving place, but within the tunnels of despair, another chapter had begun. Their gazes reflected a steadfast promise. The journeys we would embark on wouldn't just shape our survival. They'd carve out a future. "Let's come back," I whispered, the words slicing through the shadows that darkened our path as the screens flickered brilliantly, igniting the unknown realms awaiting beyond. Together, we would find our way alive, united, and defiant against the darkness. As the signal pulsed through the depths of the city, a flicker of hope ignited within me. The old control room buzzed with the energy of potential. The screens illuminated the darkness, illuminating a web of connections that had long been neglected. Our paths were intertwined, weaving a fabric of defiance against the encroaching void of despair. "Do you really think this will work?" Essie asked, her wide eyes reflecting the soft glow of the screens. The uncertainty lingered like a specter. "It has to," I breathed, regardless of the flickering doubts that gnawed at my mind. We can't just sit back and wait for them to come to us. If we're going to make a difference, we have to take action now. But if they find our signal, Veyra interjected, the arbiters will track us down. We're putting everyone at risk. No, I replied, raising my chin defiantly. I refuse to believe we're powerless in this fight. If we send this out, we'll empower others to resist. We can give them a fighting chance. With a steady resolve, I leaned forward, fingers dancing across the console as I finalized the network's coordinates, encrypting our location to shield it from the prying eyes of the arbiters. Ready! Ready! Veyra and Essie echoed, their voices combining with a chorus of silent determination, underscoring the potential that sat before us. With a swift keystroke, I sent our signal out into the vast digital expanse. My heart hammered, each pulse rippling through the air, churning with the adrenaline of possibility. The screens flickered wildly, colors bursting into life as various locations populated across the fractured map. The hidden shelters and survivors scattered throughout, resilient against the cold grip of the Dominion. ***, critical discoveries ***, look, Veyra shouted, pointing at one of the screens. There, that sector. It's marked as a survivor camp. As if the cosmos aligned with our mission, the dotted line highlighted a secluded enclave within the city outskirts, a place where others had congregated, no doubt waiting for hope in a world that had turned its back on them. I stared at the glowing coordinates, desperate resolve resolutely etched upon my brow. We can reach them before the arbiters get here, I declared, hope bubbling up from deep within my chest. If we can unify efforts, we can strike a blow against this tyranny. Essie's face brightened, her innocence shining through the layers of hardship she had faced. We can help them, right? She asked, her voice laced with a naive enthusiasm that sparked a flicker of warmth within me. Yes, I whispered fiercely, we can. But as the excitement surged, the oppressive weight of reality pressed upon us. We were a trio, fortified by determination yet stripped of resources. Hope surged, but the arbiters remained a looming threat, constantly on our heels. Mounting pressure an explosion rattled through the air like a fury unleashed, shaking the very foundations of our sanctuary. I gasped, gripping the console tightly, while the lights flickered ominously overhead. What was that? Veyra shouted, panic etched clear in her voice. They must have found us, I exclaimed, adrenaline flooding my veins. We need to move. We bolted from the control panel, navigating through the darkened hallways. My mind raced, every nerve ending screaming for survival as the echoes of chaos reverberated around us. The metallic sounds of the arbiters drew closer, their relentless pursuit igniting an instinctual flight response. How do we get out? Essie cried, her face pale as fear washed over her. Back through the way we came, Veyra commanded, urgency propelling us forward. We raced through the tunnels, shadows melding into an unsettling blur as we sprinted towards the old maintenance exit. The air crackled with tension, the flickering lights casting dizzying shadows along the walls. Keep moving, I yelled, knowing that we had to stay ahead. But uncertainty loomed, a weight heavy with the threat of betrayal and capture. What would happen if we became cornered, bound by fate to succumb to darkness? Suddenly, the ground beneath our feet trembled, the vibrations building until the walls seemed ready to cave in. Over there, Veyra shouted, her voice breaking above the cacophony as she gestured toward a narrow aperture. With no time to hesitate, we veered into the opening, squeezing through the constricted gap. Just as I squeezed in last, the oppressive crash rang through the shadows behind us, the sound rattling my bones. The world outside lay shrouded in ashen twilight, remnants of the skyline barely visible against the darkening heavens. We gasped for breath, feelings of depletion hanging heavily in the air as we scrambled up to a ledge overlooking the remnants of Serenost. Where do we go now? Essie whimpered, clutching Veyra's hand tightly. I don't know, I stammered. The weight of the uncertainty pressed down on me as we took in the devastation surrounding us. The city remained a wasteland, a reminder of everything we had lost, burgeoning chaos threatening to swallow us whole. But then I spotted it. A flicker of movement just beyond the shattered buildings, mere shadows dancing amongst the debris, leading to an alcove nestled between the ruins. "There, we can make it to that opening," I shouted. "I don't know, Jeremiah," Vera said, hesitating to take a step forward. "What if this is a trap? If we stay here, the arbiters will find us," I countered, trying to silence the doubts spiraling through me. "We're out of time. We have to move." With that, we sprinted toward the alcove, adrenaline surging through our veins, pushing past the simmering fear that threatened to consume us. As we dove into the cramped space, I held my breath, praying the shadows would cloak us once more. ***, character evolution. ***, the alcove was tight and suffocating, darkness collapsing around us. We huddled together, catching fragmented breaths as the realization settled through the hollow silence. Smooth, untouched surfaces reapplied unreality, a reminder that we were not yet free. "But this isn't over," I whispered, the urgency clawing at my soul. Determination pumped through me anew, hoping it could anchor our shaking spirits. "We will get to that survivor camp, together." "Do you really think we stand a chance against the arbiters?" Vera asked, a shadow of doubt creeping into her voice. "There are too many of them." "It's not just about defeating them," I protested. "For every one of us unearthing solidarity, we'll forge connections. We help them strategize, create a network that could fight back." Vera met my gaze, uncertainty still evident, but beneath it swirled a glimmer of hope, a reflection of the belief we had sparked together. "You're right," she said slowly. "We can't let fear dictate our actions." Essie shifted between us, her small voice firm despite the weight of her world. "But if we're going to fight, we have to be brave," she said, surprising both of us as she laid a hand on mine. "Just like my brother told me." A wave of warmth surged within. "Yes," I nodded, inspired by our collective resolve. When we unite our strengths, we become something greater than fear. In that moment, shadows no longer felt oppressive, merely reminders of battles endured and won. I glanced back at the city, the ruins an echo of our past, but a canvas of possibility lay ahead. A reminder that together we could emerge anew. The howling of the arbiters echoed distant above as they scoured the outskirts. With our hearts intertwined, we dared to venture from our alcove, the soft pulse of survival coursing through us. We moved toward that survivor camp, I instructed with renewed vigor, taking a deep breath before pushing the weight of our choices to the forefront of my mind. "We can navigate through the Undercity if we stick to the old subway routes," Vera added, her determination coalescing with mine. Together we slowly rose and stepped quietly into the world again, our feet tracking a path forward. As we emerged from the alcove, the desolation stretching ahead felt heavy with meaning. We had a mission. The pulse of our collective determination spurred us onward, closer to something we desperately sought. A sense of belonging, a family forged through struggle and resilience. With every step taken, every whispered challenge, we embraced the unknown, the promise of tomorrow shining bright against the haze of despair. It wouldn't just be a battle against the arbiters. It was the very essence of humanity reborn through untamed will. And as we navigated toward the survival camp, the darkness began to recede, falling away to reveal the light tenderly waiting to be reclaimed. A beacon of hope that had survived amidst the storm. We would rise. We would reclaim our voices. And with that assurance ignited within us, we became the echoes of a revolution. A fight not only for ourselves, but for every soul who had vanished into the silence. And as we moved forward, the looming city stretched open before us like an unyielding expanse, brimming with challenges yet illuminated by promise. The night stretched across the darkened streets of Serenost, shrouding the world in a blanket of uncertainty. Vera, Essie, and I navigated through the skeletal remains of the old subway system, each footfall echoing against the dimly lit walls. I could feel the weight of their hopeful gazes on me as I forged ahead, the air thick with a potent mix of anxiety and resolve. We were headed toward the survivor camp, and our chance to ignite a spark of rebellion against the oppressive force of the arbiters. "This way," I whispered, glancing back at Essie, who clutched her doll tightly, her small hands trembling but her eyes wide with determination. Stick close. Vera moved alongside me, her presence a beacon of focus amidst the uncertain shadows. We can't stop now. We have to reach the others while we still can, she breathed, urgency palpable in her voice. As we descended deeper into the catacombs of the city, the distant murmur of voices grew louder, a testament to the resilience of those still fighting. A flicker of hope ignited within me. We were not alone. It must be just ahead, I murmured, echoing Vera's sentiments. The air felt charged, electric with anticipation as we approached the intersection opening into what appeared to be an old waiting area. A single beam of light pierced the darkness, illuminating a group of weary survivors huddled together. Their faces reflected the struggles they had encountered, the losses endured, the fights fought in silence, and yet, within the chaos of their despair was a flicker of defiance, a pulse of resolute strength. "Hello," I called out, my voice a tremor against the heavy silence. "We come in peace." The shadows shifted as they turned toward us, faces coalescing into a spectrum of curiosity and wariness. I saw the gathering shoulders relax, if only slightly, as recognition bloomed upon a few familiar faces. "Jeremiah," a voice questioned tentatively, pulling my gaze toward a tall figure at the forefront. "Alex." My heart surged with relief as I met the eyes of my old friend, the very heart of our once great resistance. We found each other. Vera stepped forward, gesturing toward Essie, who stood trembling but brave beside her. "This is Essie. We're looking to rally our forces. The arbiters are closing in, and we need to unite." The group exchanged glances, the palpable tension splitting the air. A few murmured reassurances while others remained guarded. We lost touch when the raids escalated. Alex responded, steely determination lacing his words. "But we've managed to scrape by. We thought hope had abandoned us." I stepped forward, my heart hammering against my ribs. "It hasn't. Not as long as we stand together. If we can organize. If we can make a stand. There's still a chance to fight back." Essie glanced between us, eyes gleaming as she spoke. "We can be brave together." Alex hung onto her words, the flicker of doubt momentarily outweighed by the flicker of hope, spurring the group into quiet conversation. "Then let's devise a plan," he finally said, nodding decisively. "We need to strengthen our defenses, spread our signal, and we need eyes on the ground." Behind him, the others murmured in agreement, faces brightening intriguingly as camaraderie took hold once more. Hope had begun to weave itself into the fabric of our lives, reconnecting us to purpose. "Essie's right," I continued, gauging the mood of the group. Not just our very survival, but a flicker of our shared humanity reignited. We need strategies, ways to communicate with one another without being detected. We must draw the arbiters away from the weak spots. A man stepped forward from the back, a tattered jacket draped over his shoulders, and with a nod he introduced himself. "I'm Finn. I found this camp a week ago." I felt a twinge of guilt wash over me as I remembered the Finn I had lost back at the control room, the unknown fate of my friend binding a weight to my chest. "They've been relentless," he continued with conviction. "We need to create diversions, hit them where it hurts. But most importantly, we have to gather supplies and people." "How?" Vera interjected, her expression serious. "Every supply route has been monitored. Even scavenging has become a dangerous game. We'll work in shifts." Alex replied confidently, taking charge, splitting into smaller groups. "If we can retrieve information and connect with the existing subterranean channels, we'll hone in on the most vulnerable timing of the Arbiter's patrol." A murmur of determination began to blossom, suggestions mingling as a collective resolve took root, and before I knew it, plans for our rebellion were being sketched out on scraps of old print paper. Threads of all our hopes interweaving into a singular tapestry forged from shared passion and desperation. ***, daring decisions, ***, hours melted into the night. The camp buzzing with action as people busied themselves alongside their new assignments. Trust stitched itself together, a shared understanding that we were part of a growing movement. an underground force determined to reclaim our lives from the clutches of the Dominion. By dawn, we had our plan. Essie had become a little morale booster, a source of sweet resolve with her unyielding faith in everyone. As we gathered for the final rally before splitting into our groups, I felt hope crackle in the air. The specter of despair that had loomed above us began to fade, swallowed by the unity formed in our resolve. The first group will head to the outer sector. Alex addressed the camp, search for supplies, and scouting the route toward the nearest post. But we must keep communication open. Anyone who spots trouble sends a signal. Survivors nodded, determination igniting fiery conviction. I turned to Vera as we prepared to split. "Are you ready for this?" Her brow furrowed, but that familiar spark remained. It's all or nothing. We can't let the arbiters take another thing from us. What we're building here means something. As soon as we set out, shadows fell all around, yet camaraderie flooded the air. We were no longer mere whispers in an empty street. Each step we took drummed with purpose, a flicker of power igniting the streets muted by dishonor and despair. The underground was alive with movements as we navigated deeper into the heart of the city, connections binding firm as we chalked out plans. My heart thrummed with cautious hope, but each fleeting moment remained susceptible to destruction. "Stay sharp," I whispered to the group as a sense of urgency swelled in my chest. The closer we get to enemy territory, the tighter their grip will tighten. And just as we approached the perimeter of a crumbling building, the world erupted into chaos. Asterisk, the last bastion of hope, asterisk. A blaring siren sliced through the underground stillness, an eerie signal that sent a shiver down my spine. Run, a voice sliced through the atmosphere, the urgency coursing through our group like a live wire. Instinctively, I shoved Essie behind me, mere seconds before robotic shadows surged from the darkened corners, slicing through shattered plywood. Fear gripped our hearts as we darted deeper into the remnants of the ruined structure, scrambling as the very floor beneath us trembled with the impending chaos. "Stay close," I yelled, adrenaline blazing through my veins. The remnants of debris crumbled as we fled into the adjacent rooms, the arbiters hot on our heels, their mechanical limbs clattering against the concrete, relentless as the fury of the storms above. Ahead downstairs, Vera shouted through the noise, guiding us toward the staircase leading into parts unknown. We stumbled into the promised darkness, hearts racing and breaths coming in quick gasps as we descended into the bowels of the building. The underground reeked of despair and decay, but it was here that we could find footholds, a sanctuary from the onslaught above. We pressed onward, desperate to escape the cacophony echoing above us, but just as we rounded a corner, time seemed to freeze. A group of arbiters had already positioned themselves below, their metal bodies shimmering ominously, waiting among the rubble. Panic surged within my chest as we ground to a halt, exchanging frantic glances. There was no turning back. We would have to act decisively. "This way," Alex hissed, leading us into a narrow hall that branched toward unknown vaults. We breathed in the stale air as we skirted the walls, moving silently through what felt like a maze. As we ventured deeper, the walls echoed with the faint sounds of hushed conversations, distant yet alive. A testament to those who had defied the darkness. "Keep moving," I urged. "We can't let them catch us." But then, just as we pressed forward, the screeching call of the arbiters broke through the silence, a mechanical cacophony that ricocheted through the corridor, erasing the hope with each churning note. "They've found us," Vera exclaimed, panic threading through her voice. I turned, adrenaline surging. "We fight," but I saw the flicker of hesitation in their eyes, the uncertainty gripping each person among us. We were merely a handful of souls against the swarm of machinery. Fear threatened to drown us once more in its cold grip. And then something strange began to stir within me, a glimmer of tenacity surfacing beneath the fear. "No," I shouted, my voice rising against the dark. "We're not leaving one another behind. We have woven something powerful through our connection, a bond birthed through adversity. We hold the strength to forge forward. This is our city, our future. We will not be silenced. Essie looked up at me, her eyes shimmering, and that renewed glimmer ignited the flame of bravado amidst shadows of uncertainty. The arbiters lurched closer, mechanical limbs advancing, but a thrumming energy pulsed between us, the unwavering realization that together we could turn despair into defiance. Together, I roared, arms outstretched, stepping up against the encroaching machines. Let's show them what we are. We will not succumb. The initial hesitation melted away as defiance coursed through the group. The echoes of our resolute convictions reverberated until they converged into something magnificent. Our unity became our shield. Our belief intertwined as one within the dawn of a new fight. As the arbiters descended upon us, we morphed from scattered shadows into a formidable force, emboldened by a collective spirit that surged within. We slammed our shoulders together, striking against the unknown. This was our reckoning, a testament to what we stood for. That night, as we stood together beneath the looming specters of chaos, it became clear. We were not just fighting for survival. We were reclaiming our lives, channeling our fear into purpose, and hedging a war where hope and conviction intertwined to illuminate even the darkest paths. In that moment, we understood fully that our strength existed not solely in resistance, but in our collective will. We were forged anew, now standing as a bastion against the dominion, ready to etch our narrative against the blank canvas of eternity, crafting the legacy of our rebellion into tangible reality. ***, set for the next battle, ***, as the arbiters approached, converging around us like a looming storm. I felt every heartbeat sink into a unified rhythm, resilience rising amidst the chaos. We were no longer fragments scattered in the wind. We were an undeniable force, a burgeoning rebellion against the metallic tide. On three, I shouted, feeling urgency pulse through us as we faced the horde. 1, 2, 3. With that, we charged forward. Each footfall echoed like a thunderclap, resonating deep within the bowels of the city, a beacon of our shared purpose. We fought like we had nothing left to lose, an unquenchable fire burning within. The arbiters' mechanical limbs clanked, their precision motion gliding toward us, but we were resolute, forging a path through the swirling chaos. I could feel the dread of uncertainty scuttling back as we unleashed everything we had, our determination, our will. Standing beside me, Vera fired her home, made-EMP device, sending a ripple of chaos through the assembly. A nearby pillar collapsed amid the fight, the dust mingling with power as it sent shockwaves through our veins. "Keep pushing," Alex yelled, rallying us even as the world spun under siege. "We can't give them a foothold." Going shoulder to shoulder, we scrambled past the first wave, forming a tight, knit circle, defending against the wave of relentless technological might. With each clash of metal against flesh, we fought back as an embodiment of energy and light, a fusion of our spirits becoming an indomitable force. The vulnerable were no longer simply paralyzed in fear. They erupted into purpose, their collective strength melding into a singular howl of rebellion. Together, I rallied again, the determination pushing through the suffocating chaos. Together, we fight. The tide of darkness pressed tangibly against us, but determination roared, veins pulsing with the raging urge to reclaim what had been stripped away. Beside me, Essie kept pace, her presence a heartening reminder that not only our lives were at stake. Our bonds interwove stronger with every heartbeat. We drew upon each other's courage until we became an unstoppable wave surging upward toward victory. In one final push, the group unleashed an undulating wave of energy that sent shockwaves through the air, our united resistance breaking against the arbiters like a fierce tide. Enemy after enemy fell before our advancing wall of solidarity. And in the crescendo of our determination, we felt the shift. The endless dread began to recede. With every pulse of defiance, we uncovered our long, lost honor, reclaiming our narrative intertwined with hope. Finally, a moment of silence settled upon us like a falling mantle. Our collective breaths mingled in the remnants of conflict. The arbiters had retreated, momentarily scattered into the shadows. "What now?" Essie asked slowly, an echo weaving through the aftermath. "We regroup," I replied, glancing around at the faces of determined survivors, individuals who had braved darkness and emerged into transformative light. "We harness this energy and keep fighting. We reach out far and wide. Our call for unity is only just beginning." Vera nodded, her eyes blazing with resolve. "Together we can rebuild, and rebuild we would." Today had become our dawn, a reminder that hope, once forged from ashes, could become a blazing inferno, lighting the way into the future. As we clenched our fists in solidarity, staring toward the remnants of the ceaseless battle we had just waged, we came together under the weight of our shared experiences, steadfast in forging new paths. We would be the architects of our own revolution. This was only the beginning, and with renewed resolve, we stood united, ready to embark on that journey into the luminous future, where the collective strength of our humanity soared beyond mere survival into a realm of infinite possibility. As we made our way back to the survivor camp, one thing became etched in the fabric of our new reality. Our fight against the darkness had finally kindled into a fierce flame, a fire that would carry us toward the unknown horizons, ready to write our own destiny against the grief of yesterdays. As dawn broke over the jagged skyline of Serenost, the sun splintered through the remnants of a broken world, casting fractured rays across the rubble. The atmosphere buzzed with fresh conviction. The survivors gathered at the camp felt the pulse of a new reality surging through their veins. We had emerged on the other side of chaos, coalescing into a network, a web of hopes and dreams woven together through adversity. The scars of our battle against the arbiters remained fresh, but they whispered a promise. We were stronger when we fought as one. The embers of rebellion. Today marks a turning point, I announced, standing atop a hastily constructed platform that overlooked the huddled groups of survivors. Vera stood at my side, her fierce spirit igniting the air around us as she caught the gaze of those who gathered. Essie sat cross-legged near the front, her doll cradled in her arms, embodying the resilience of childhood hope amidst the remnants of darkness. "I want you to remember this moment," I continued, locking eyes with each person in the crowd, feeling the gravity of our collective defiance resonate. "We have survived darkness, and we have faced the storm, but the core of our fight lies ahead. The arbiters will circle back. They will not rest until we are silenced. It's time we struck back, united in purpose. We won't just endure, we will reclaim our future." A wave of murmurs swept through the makeshift camp, merging into a powerful chorus of voices committed to rallying against the tyranny that had plagued us for too long. "What do we need to do?" Alex called out from the back, his presence steady among the sea of faces. Other voices joined him, questions mingling with determination, and I took a moment to absorb the collective fervor igniting around us. "We gather our allies. We plan multiple diversion attacks on the supply lines by nightfall," I declared. "We divide our forces into smaller groups. Some of you will infiltrate the old tunnels and scout paths, while the others work to create diversions near the supply depots. Most importantly, we identify key locations where we can gather more survivors and vanish our signature from their systems. We can feed and shelter those who still resist." Vera stepped forward to bolster the momentum, her voice a firebrand uniting the crowd. "We need to arm ourselves with whatever we can. There are caches buried in every corner of the city. We've seen how fragile their structures really are. Let's take back what's rightfully ours." "But how do we stand against their technology?" a woman asked, her voice trembling through the crowd. "What about the arbiters? Their numbers are overwhelming." I knew we couldn't afford to let doubts dismantle our resolve. I stepped forward, gesturing for silence. "Every tool we build and every distraction we create brings us a step closer to redefining our gear and growing faster. We have technological ingenuity on our side. By working in tandem, we become unpredictable to them. It's our greatest weapon." Essie hugged her doll tighter, and from the back, I could see the shadow of a smile break across her lips. "And we have hope," she exclaimed, lighting up the air with her unapologetic innocence. Absolutely. Vera smiled down at her. We fight not just for ourselves, but for those we love. Hope is our greatest shield. The calls for action erupted into fervor as the camp buzzed with excitement, galvanizing us for what lay ahead. We began organizing ourselves into teams, sketches of the city forming in our minds as I scribbled notes on scraps of discarded paper found after our battle. Most members resonated with exhilaration to track down caches of supplies beyond us, while others pieced together strategies. A united strategy against the looming darkness. Asterisk asterisk tactical unity asterisk asterisk as the afternoon sun dipped, casting elongated shadows around the camp, we divided into groups. I'll go with you, Alex said, joining a team heading toward the supply access point. We'll stick to the shadows. I'll coordinate with those scouting the old tunnels, I replied. An electrified excitement coursed through me as I surveyed the gathering, absorbing the faces lit by determination. These were my people. Vera nodded, gathering a group of meticulous strategists. We'll focus on infrastructure, find the Achilles heel in the Archer Line's defenses. The more technical we are, the better. As I stepped away from the burgeoning coalition, I caught sight of Finn, the man who had ignited hope in our camp. I pulled him aside, noticing the glint in his eyes. Are you ready for what lies ahead? I have waited for this moment for too long, he responded, a taut faith lining his expression. But we should tweak our plans. They have not noticed us yet. What do you mean? Finn glanced around, ensuring no ears gathered too close. I've intercepted intelligence while the Arbiters scoured, but you need to increase our arsenal. There's an old tech facility nearby, and it lies with minimal surveillance if we tread carefully. An abandoned tech facility. How do you know? He grinned, excitement bubbling forth. I know sneaking well, just like when we were kids. It's a risk, but if we're swift, we might find weapons, or even better, intel on their attack patterns. Well, if we're going to do this, an electric anticipation filled the air as I considered the risks. Let's venture together off the grid. With an agreed-upon plan to locate that tech facility as a pivotal gathering point, Finn and I set out towards our new target. Location believed to be rich with technology that could shift the tide of our rebellion. The adrenaline pushed at our backs, each whisper of wind beckoning us to forge onward into the unknown. Asterisk asterisk path of revelation, asterisk asterisk as night enveloped the city. We circled out, cloaked beneath the dark shrouds of shadow. Finn moved with silent finesse. His presence reassured me as we slipped through alleyways, avoiding the ever-looming territories of the Arbiters. The ruins of old factories and abandoned storefronts littered the remnants of our past, each cryptic shape casting shadows that tried to pull us back into the recesses of fear. But we pressed onward. There was no turning back, only the fire of rebellion blazing within us. Keep low, Finn whispered, motioning as we neared the gated entrance of the derelict tech facility. The gloomy structure loomed before us, shadows stretching like hands toward the skyline as we inched closer. We kept our senses tuned, every atom in our bodies buzzing with heightened awareness. As we reached the entrance, caution overwhelmed excitement. Stay sharp, I murmured. I could see the initial hints of light gleaming from crack crevices around the old building. Carefully, we pushed through the broken gate, inching into the heart of the facility. What lay before us would either ignite our path forward or seal it into an unforgiving fate. Look, Finn shouted, motioning for me to follow. The interior bustled with remnants, scattered circuits, forgotten heaps of equipment, a trove of old tech lying untouched in the darkness. The air felt charged with the promise of discovery. We moved deeper, guided by soft murmurs emanating from the depths of technology half buried. The dust stirred as we flipped open panels and peered around at aged machinery, a treasure trove of dormant capabilities, awaiting rebirth through new life. I see those wires. Finn gestured near what appeared to be an old server. If we reconnect them, we might be able to access the mainframe. Let's do it, I said, feeling the weight of possibility pulsating in the air around us. As we worked diligently, Our combination of experience and sheer tenacity coaxed the flickering lights into life, overwhelming shadows beginning to yield as hope surged anew. "We're almost there. Just a little, yes," Finn shouted as the low hum of machinery sprang to life, illuminating the room as we fought against the silence that had cloaked our past. Data streams flickered on screens, scrolling lines of encrypted information filled the monitor, intertwining stories of resistance that had refused to falter. "What do we have?" I asked, feeling anticipation sharp enough to cut through the lingering darkness still weaving outside. "The patterns! We've cracked their communications code," Finn exclaimed, eyes alight with electricity. "We have their patrol routes, their movements, everything. Then we can plan." I breathed, the weight of our actions registering sharply in my heart as newfound purpose grasped me. "We send this back to the camp. Every group is able to harness it." As we meticulously documented intel, chills of excitement coursed through us both. The arbiters may have been formidable, but now we possess the knowledge to turn the game on their heads. ***, the approach of nightfall ***. Finally, as we gathered the last bits of data, unease began to coil in the pit of my stomach. I turned to Finn. "We need to move before they trace us back here. The systems might serve us in the long run, but we don't want to become collateral damage, lying scattered among their debris." "Let's move then," he agreed, the glint of purpose shining. As we carefully retraced our steps through the facility, I was acutely aware of the weight of the data we carried. We were standing on the precipice of change, ready for the imminent clash that awaited us at the camp. It was far more than just survival. It was a revelation that would echo for generations. And even if we were to perish in the lines of fire, perhaps we were forging legacies that would live on far beyond us. When we finally emerged into the night, I took a breath, filled with the fresh scent of rain, soaked pavement and sensations from the rustled leaves around. A confusion hung in the air. As we stepped out of the facility, the city felt eerily still. A disquieting bird call echoed overhead as I caught flashes of light rippling at the back. My heart raced while a sense of foreboding lingered. "Finn, do you hear that?" Suddenly, the mechanics roared to life, a frenzied pulse that surged through the streets. We had been caught. "Run!" I cried as the deep thrum of the arbiters began to swell, the ominous shadows of machines closing in, the palpable sound echoing increasingly closer, seizing our very souls with fear's grip. Together we sprinted through the night, the walls of the city pulsating with impending doom as the arbiters' searchlights flared around us. But we moved on, the pulse of fate thrumming wildly in our veins. The light of hope blazed ahead, our footsteps resounding as we cloaked ourselves in the promise of rebellion. Each step felt tethered to the future we fought to reclaim, invigorated by the bonds we shared and the legacy we were too close to finally reclaim. The last stand ***. We reached the camp just as dawn began to usher in golden rays across the horizon. A momentary reprieve from the chaos. Our adrenaline surged, fueled by the exhilaration of revelation mixed with the terror of uncertainty. I felt the weight of everything pressing against my chest, but I held tight to the flickering flame of hope we'd ignited. "We found something," I shouted as the crowd turned toward us, faces frozen in need for reassurance. "We have intel, patrol routes, weaknesses they're vulnerable. Gather the others," Vera called out, urgency propelling her forward. A sense of elation rippled through the camp as those locked in doubt began to shift. Hope ignited like a wildfire catching in dry brush. But the air shifted, the tension stirred, the silence shattering as a gunshot rang in the distance. "We need to act now," Alex yelled, surveying the emerging chaos. Shadows were encroaching. The arbiters had found us. Panic surged, but amidst the chaos, I felt purpose lock into place. "Gather the drops. We need to divert them. Now, let's do it," Vera rallied, stepping forward. Adrenaline coursed through our veins as our crew began frantically assembling makeshift barricades, utilizing remnants from our fight and the ruins around us. We formed a perimeter around the camp, embodying our last bastion, On my mark, I snarled, adrenaline pushing each word with intensity. We protect one another. Use the tech we found, draw them to our path. We have to show them that we won't falter this time. As the sun began to rise, the camp transformed. Logistics turned into strategies, faith fueled furious exchanges among us, and we became one unified spirit facing the twilight's rage. Then came the thrumming of metallic wings, shadows stretching menacingly around us like the hands of fate eager to snatch hope as we braced ourselves for the coming conflict. All that we had achieved now hung suspended, a fractal encapsulating uncertainty. In that moment, fierce determination surged through our souls, reminding us that we were rising against the tide. A force intertwined as we prepared to face the darkness shouting at our door. Asterisk asterisk into the fray, asterisk asterisk, as the first wave of arbiters descended with cold precision, we sprang into action. Focus on the closest approach, I yelled, the pulse of fear dissipated by a surging tide of courage. The world blurred as we barricaded the entrance with anything we could find, our adrenaline fueling the fight. And now, Vera shouted, activating the EMP devices we had scavenged from the facility. The pulses erupted, echoing against the cold metal as several arbiters lost their balance, the tremors rippling through their circuits. Push back, Alex cried. We fought as one, with layers of unity forged from countless battles. Every swing, every thrust echoed as realization washed over me. We were more than just survivors. We were a force ready to reshape our future. The ground trembled beneath us, shuddering as pulse after pulse washed over the arbiters. But soon their numbers proved formidable, their glowing sensors scanning violently, seeking our weaknesses beneath the shroud of shadow. Essie, stay back, Vera shouted as she turned just in time, blocking an oncoming blast aimed at the girl, too precious to be caught in the storm. We can shield her, I yelled while we rallied, creating a line of bodies fighting together. The ground erupted beneath us, ducking and dodging as energy streams surged. We can't let them breach our inner sanctum, Finn shouted, leaping into action alongside us, showcasing a fierce resolve as he swung back. The cacophony intensified as the world spiraled into the chaos surrounding us. Flashes of light danced with the shadows of despair, but amidst the fray, I caught glimpses of hope dancing along with us. We could not be besieged. We were ones of resilience and unity, and each threat only unified our mission further. Asterisk asterisk awakening fury asterisk asterisk as the fight waged on. I felt exhilaration sweep through my blood, soaring along with Essie's brave echoes in the depths of my mind. We were here together, creating a narrative forged anew. We'll need more than just brute force, I yelled, spotting a collection of crates near the periphery. We can trap them, the call surged like wildfire. One by one, every survivor began orchestrating a strategy amidst rise and fall while we unleashed what remained hidden. The dormant technology began to awaken, powering our fight. Vera rallied the others, I called as I darted toward the crates, entrusting the networks we accessed just hours prior. We'll set traps, we can harness their wrath, together, she called back, feeling the momentum shift as the camp sprung to action. Purpose flowed through us as what had become darkness turned into waves of light, screams of struggle laced with hope igniting amidst the chaos. I see the vulnerable sectors, cover them, Finn shouted as he swept around, relaying what we had unearthed. The flow of chaos forged into something transformative, an empowerment that paved the way forward. Each blow exchanged with the arbiters now resonated like a battle hymn, reverberating through our spirits, emboldened, outrunning fear, until the world seemed to freeze in mere moments of fate. Several automated machines fell before us, crashing into piles of steel, the remnants of our makeshift trap overlooking a glimmer of triumph. Push them back, I growled, relentless amidst the waves of uncertainty that clung menacingly. Essie's laughter, pure and innocent amidst the fray, washed over me like rain on soot, covered stones echoing the prevailing resolve. With each arcing pulse, we struck with purpose. The tide of our rebellion transformed until a crescendo of chaos enveloped us. Through unity, we became a force too fierce to be reckoned with, a testament of human spirit, coursing through the darkened streets of Serenost. Reclamation of hope, and as the darkness finally began to recede, I caught sight of it, the glimmer of hope spilling through the cracks where shadows attempted to encroach. We struck not just for survival, but for every heartbeat refusing to be silenced. Then it came, moments blurred as the machines began to falter, recoiling as our resistance turned into roaring flames of rebellion. The tide shifted in our favor, the arbiters now symbols of our united stand, a fearsome wave crashing against the fortress of our newfound unity. Together, I thundered above the chaos, unwavering. We will not yield. And through the shimmering haze of conflict, an extraordinary breakthrough began to crystallize. Hope was not just a flicker in the void. It was an indomitable force, a fire blossoming even in the bleakest dark. Finally, the last of the arbiters fell, scattering into the shadows as we stood together, breathless and triumphant. The air hummed with energy, eyes glimmering as the reality began to settle, a new dawn breaking on the horizon. Freedom's rebirth, exhilaration, washed over us as we embraced beneath the remnants of debris and chaos. We stood together, a fragile yet unwavering collective, feeling the heartbeat of our shared journey resonate as one. The layers of uncertainty stripped away, leaving behind a soft yet resolute sense of purpose, a taste of victory lingering on our tongues. As the sun began its ascent, painting the sky with hues of gold and hope, voices arose once again. Cheers erupted, a unison of laughter and gratitude woven into one collective shout of triumph. Look, Essie's cheerful voice rose. We did it. We did, I whispered, kneeling beside her, overwhelmed by the sense of unity that transformed our fates. This is only the beginning, though. We must remain vigilant. Together, Vera said, joining my side. Together, we can take on whatever lies ahead. And as the world began to awaken around us, glimmers of sunlight bursting across the ruins, illuminating our paths, we felt the power reborn through our bonds. Together, we had reclaimed our lives, igniting the embers of a brilliant revolution, destiny intertwined like threads of an infinite tapestry. The road ahead would be fraught with challenges, but it would also be paved with resolute hope, unyielding unity and purpose. A story yet unfinished, echoing through the heart of those who dared to fight, forging a legacy destined to rise against the darkness as we moved forward together. The final chapter awaited. Our stories had just begun to intertwine, crafting an epic far beyond dreams and despair. One where together, we nurtured a world reborn amid shadows transformed into vibrant light. As dawn broke through the fractured skyline of Serenost, the sunlight spilled over the remnants of our past. A world for too long starved of hope, but now pulsating with the promise of revival. Cheers among the survivors echoed through our makeshift camp, a testimony of resilience birthed from the ashes. But for every pocket of triumph, shadows lingered. We were not yet free, and the arbiters would not rest for long. Rallying the troops gather round. I roared, voice ringing above the clamor as I stepped onto an improvised platform, an overturned crate that symbolized the fragile leadership I'd adopted. Around me, weary faces shifted from fear to fervor, tinged with anticipation. We stand today not just as remnants of a broken society, but as the architects of our future. We have tasted the bitterness of loss, but together we've tasted victory. Vera stood just behind me, her fire auburn against the dawn light, the flicker of determination dancing in her eyes. Yesterday, we faced the darkness and we prevailed. Today we reclaim our city, no more running, no more hiding. Her words sparked vigor among the crowd, igniting an unyielding force that seeped through each survivor gathered. Essie sat in the front, her tiny hands clutched around a makeshift flag she had fashioned from fabric scraps, imbuing her spirit into something tangible, an innocuous yet fierce symbol of our burgeoning resistance. We will stand together, she called out, her voice ringing like a bell amidst the gathered throng. Our hearts raced as hope threaded its way through the air, sending a ripple of energy to all corners of the camp. "We have gathered intel from the tech facility," I continued, framing the data we had unearthed, my heart pounding with adrenaline. "We have knowledge about the Arbiter's patrols, their strengths and flaws. We can turn the tide once and for all if we act decisively." A wave of murmurs rippled through the crowd, fanning the flames of purpose. I began outlining our next mission, one that required meticulous planning. We split into teams. Some will reinforce defenses across the camp. Others will scout for remaining caches of supplies. We need to ensure that everyone has weapons and food before we strike against their primary command. Our objective is to sever their communications and draw them out of hiding. Then we hit them hard. Alex stepped forward, brow furrowed with concern. "But what if the Arbiters retaliate? What if they come for us while we gather?" "That's a possibility," Vera interjected, "but we hold the advantage of surprise. They won't expect a united front. We've proven that hope can reclaim what has been lost. We are the pulse of life in this city, and we cannot allow fear to dictate our actions. Together," I shouted, my voice ringing above the crowd once more, driving the energy higher. "Today, we fight not just for survival, but for our very existence. For every name lost to darkness, we rise up in their memory. With the sun awakening into a brilliant hue, a newfound sense of courage surged through us. Each survivor began to stand, and as they locked eyes with one another, the resolve became palpable, a singular force bound by a common purpose. *** reconnaissance missions ***. Shortly after our rally, groups went forth to execute our plans. I joined Alex, Finn, and Vera on a reconnaissance mission toward the northwest perimeter of Serenost, where we anticipated finding supplies and possibly remnants of survivors who had escaped the Dominion's grasp. As we slipped through alleyways and dilapidated buildings now adorned with nature's reclamation, I felt dread pursuit in the back of my mind, the echo of the Arbiter's metallic voices still fresh in my thoughts. "Stay vigilant," I warned, my senses acute as we approached the edge of the sector. They could be anywhere. Our path led us toward a crumbling commercial block, half-collapsed structures creating temporary shelters for those who had lost their homes. The voices of a few troubled souls quietly reached out, and under the layers of chaos, I felt the resonance of shared struggle. Look! Finn directed our attention toward a flickering neon sign hanging precariously from a beam. A once bustling convenience store now diminished to a hollow shell. "That's our best chance of finding supplies." We approached cautiously, every nerve tingling as we gathered behind the remains of an overturned vehicle, scanning the perimeter to ensure no lurking threats lay in wait. "All right," I whispered, the air thick with anticipation. "We should split. Alex, Vera, go through the back. Finn and I will take the front. Let's keep an eye on any movements." Cracking the door, I felt around the doorway for signs of intrusion. The store was desolate, but garbage and forgotten remnants of a past life scattered across the floor, snacks with neglected expiration dates, bleached magazines that told tales of a dream long gone. Yet it was in the stillness that I sensed life, a pulse longing to return. "We're clear," I relayed quietly, stepping into the shadows. "Let's gather everything we can in a hurry." We sprang into action, filling backpacks with canned goods and essential supplies while ensuring the silence of our movements. I picked up a flashlight and found a handful of batteries that might serve us well, remnants of laughter echoing in the holes of memories lost. "Guys," Vera's hushed voice interrupted us from the back entrance. "Come quickly." I turned sharply toward her, cold dread creeping in again. "What is it? Look." She pointed toward the corner of the store where several damp papers lay pinned against the wall by long, forgotten advertisements. I stepped closer and gazed intent. Among the litter, a map lay spread out, an outline of the city marked with notations, numbers, and a peculiar indicator signifying a hidden cache deep under the ground near the entrance to the old subways. This could be it," I whispered in disbelief. "If this is true, we could flank their positions, hit them where they least expect it. The thrill of discovery mingled with caution. This could mean liberation, or it could be a trap. We need to take this back, I urged. We might find more survivors hiding and enough supplies to bolster our defenses. Suddenly, the unmistakable sound of mechanical wings patrolling above sent shivers rippling through the camp. Arbiters were closing in fast. Guys, we have to move now," I hissed, looking to the others, their eyes wide as they grasped the gravity of our circumstances. "Out the back," Finn urged, his voice steadying the rising panic as we scrambled toward the exit. Asterisk, asterisk, the chase begins, asterisk, asterisk, bursting through the back exit. The sounds of distant gunfire and mechanical thrumming echoed dangerously close. We ducked into lamplight, covered alleyways, darting through layers of debris that surrounded our path until we reached a fractured roadway leading south. Our breaths came in jagged bursts as we pushed ourselves further, knowing that the arbiters would soon anticipate our next moves. "Stay low. We can't let them catch us," I urged, adrenaline pushing us onward, heart pounding as visions of the arbiters haunted my thoughts. But they had noticed us. An explosion of mechanical sound grew nearer, the shriek of machinery enveloping the streets with metallic might. "Move, move, move," Vera called out, urgency escalating with each footsteps closing in on the horizon. As we navigated the maze of ruins, my mind raced over the intel we had gained about the arbiters, their systems, their patrols. If we reach the old subway entrance, we might find a way to elude them, I shouted. But joy turned quickly to despair as I felt the vibrations ripple beneath our feet. The relentless machines were on our heels, and panic surged through the air. "Head for the tunnel," I shouted just in time to dive under the gaping maw of an old subway entrance, darkness welcoming us like an embrace amid the chaos. Once inside, the world fell silent, the echoes of the city fading into a distant lull. The only sound now was our ragged breaths. We crouched beneath jagged edges, the air damp and cool around us, and for just a moment we gathered ourselves, tight against the walls of our sanctuary. The shadows wrapped around us, moments stretching like an eternity as we braced for what lay ahead. I could feel my pulse quicken, fear mingling with hope. The stakes heightened every second, but there within the darkness I found clarity. "Do you think they saw us?" Alex whispered, his voice trembling. I shook my head, my mind racing to gather coherence. If they had, they would have moved in faster, but we can't stay here. We need to regroup and make contact with the camp. They'll need to be ready just in case. With a quick glance around, I took the lead, weaving deep into the shadowy tunnels, heart pounding but eager to navigate these digital veins of the past. Whispers of history echoed through the subway, stories of loss woven into the fabric of shadows longing to come alive. "Essie," Vera suddenly exclaimed, glancing around at the shadows of uncertainty cast upon her face. "Stay close." As we moved forward, I couldn't shake the feeling that shadows clung more closely than ever. But I pushed forward, locking my thoughts toward the path ahead. "Stay close. We will find a way back." Asterisk, asterisk, unraveling secrets, asterisk, asterisk. We pressed deeper into the tunnels, the low hum of ancient machinery along with faint sounds lingering like specters, guiding our movements forward. Each step felt laden with the promise of unveiling something significant, an anchor in the heart of darkness. "Wait," Finn motioned sharply. "Let's check for survivors. If we manage to find anyone, a network of protectors in hiding. Perhaps we can unite against the arbiters. We might have more power if we create more alliances." We navigated through the winding tunnels, echoing through the darkness until we came across a dimly lit chamber, remnants of old benches along the walls. "Maybe there's someone here," I whispered, fear tightening around my throat. Finn moved cautiously, flicking his flashlight over the corners of the chamber as if calling forth the lost echoes. Suddenly, the air shifted, the presence of others felt palpable. "Hello," he ventured, heart racing with the chance of discovery. "Is anyone here?" A low murmur broke through the silence, whispers merging with the darkness that surrounded us. Finally, from one of the far corners, figures emerged, shadowy forms at first, but faces illuminated in the flickering darkness, reflecting echoes of familiar determination. "Of Finn," a whisper came forth, trembling as recognition surged. "Is that you?" One of the figures stepped forward, revealing a face aged by hardship but bearing indomitable spirit. "You found us," the woman said, tears shimmering as she stepped closer, enveloping Finn in an embrace. "We've been waiting, hoping," another figure chimed in, the group around us growing into its own constellation of resilience. They were a small gathering of survivors, hidden away like we had once been individuals drawn together through desperation, each representing a story of survival. "Together we can fight back," I said, atmosphere thick with shared understanding. "We have intel that could help turn the tide, help us unite against the arbiters." Hope surged through the air like static electricity. The shadows shimmered as we spoke, words intertwining, crafting new networks from old stories, forging connections woven from both suffering and daring. As we stood in the heart of the old world, a sense of belonging bloomed, a tangible glimmer threading our resolve together. With the night drawing in around us, I realized we were on the cusp of something undeniable, a revolution poised to unleash itself upon the oppressive forces seeking to smother our very existence. Asterisk, a catalyst for change, asterisk. "That map you found," I said, addressing the gathered survivors, my heart racing with renewed possibility. "It leads to caches filled with remnants of technology and food hidden deep in the bowels of this city. If we can recover those supplies, we'll fortify our defenses even further." The survivors murmured among themselves, eyes widening as the weight of possibility sank in. "We can scatter and collect," one man proposed, his voice steady. "If we cover the entrances, we'll have the chance the arbiters will never see coming." "Exactly," Vera affirmed, a fire igniting within her. "We'll make the darkness embrace us, amplify it so they can't touch what they can't see." The momentum grew, a flicker of rebellion igniting the air around us, a collective understanding forged in a boiling pot of desperation and resilience. The remnants of our lost lives had transformed into purpose amidst the ruins, a chance to rise anew. As we strategized, the tunnels buzzed with energy, possessing a kind of vibrancy that gleamed amid our whispers. This was a remnant of hope emerging rebirth amidst shadows where voices became promises and small hands turned into powerful instruments. "Time is of the essence," AI insisted, looking around at the mixture of determination and uncertainty that enveloped us. "We need to gather our forces and reclaim what belongs to us, our city, our freedom. Scattered, we become prey. United, we become a force they cannot ignore." With renewed resolve, we began to outline a plan, each survivor taking on roles, gathering supplies and intel, forking pathways that would lead us into the heart of Serenost. The whispers overlaid with the echoes of old lines, reconstituting strength from histories intertwined. "We will come together," I said, glancing over the faces surrounding me, both familiar and unfamiliar, each bearing stories of struggle and survival. "We will rise up and reclaim not just our lives, but our stories, crafting a narrative that no longer hides in darkness." As we made plans, the ground felt solid beneath our feet, the shadows of fear converting into a chorus of resolve. Asterisk, each of us was a thread woven into this tapestry, the very fabric of humanity charting our course backward to vibrant life. Asterisk, and as the last vestiges of night faded into the clear promise of dawn, we rose against the tide before us, a resilient collective ready to nurture change amid the unfolding mayhem. Asterisk, with purpose edged in hope, our time was now. We had become the heart of the revolution, a tide rising unyieldingly against the darkness, ready to reclaim our legacy from the clutches of tyranny. Our narratives belonged to us, and together we would weave them boldly into the history of a city reborn. Asterisk, as dawn crested over the battered remnants of Serenost, an ethereal light seeped into the shadows of the underground shelter, where clusters of survivors gathered, their faces lit by determination and the fervent hope of reclamation. The survivors were no longer the scattered remnants of despair. They were warriors, ready to weave their stories into the ever-evolving tapestry of the rebellion. Hope united with our plans laid out. Every survivor fanned out into separate groups, their hearts thrumming in time with the spirit of the uprising. I allowed myself a moment of quiet as I gazed at the huddle of faces around me, young and old, etched with lines of hardship but bound together by an unyielding resolve that sparked like fire against the canvas of darkness. I turned to Vera and Essie, the steadfast presence of my guiding stars. "Well, are we ready?" I asked, my voice steady but laced with the bittersweet tang of apprehension. "We're ready," Vera affirmed, her eyes gleaming with a fierceness I had come to admire. Essie stood beside her, gripping a makeshift banner with a fierce determination that belied her age. Together, they embodied the spirit, the hope that existed at the very heart of our fight against tyranny. "Remember, as we divide," Ifin interjected, flexing his fingers in anticipation. "We will signal each other at the agreed points. Stealth above all, but strength lies in our unity." The energy surged in the chamber, converting the remnants of fear into actionable solidarity. Each group quickly gathered supplies, concoctions of old tech, remnants of what had once kept this city thriving. People moved with purpose, a palpable excitement melding with steadfast resolve, layered with the deep understanding of what we were risking. As we prepared to embark on our mission, Alex sought my gaze, determination underlying concern. "Be careful out there," he said softly, an echo of protective worry threading through his words. "I will. You too," I replied immediately, caught up in the swirling emotions of what lay ahead. "Together we create possibility. The arbiters will not see what's coming." With that, we stepped outside into the dawn, fresh light spilling life across the ruins. Our groups dispersed in different directions, shadows chasing us as we slipped through the cracks of deceit, vowing to outpace the dark. Daring reconnections, the air felt electric as we made our way through the streets. I led Vera, Essie, and Finn toward the old subway entrance, the agreed point. The silence of the city felt hollow, reminders of the roar of the past now reduced to mere echoes urging us forward. We navigated the remnants of old structures, the shapes casting monstrous shadows as the towering buildings reclaimed their authority. My heart pounded as we turned a corner, eyes darting sharp for movement, for anything hinting at the impending threat. If the arbiters were lurking, we could become mere collateral in this fight for survival. As we ventured deeper, sound fractals began to shift around us. Whispers of lived experiences transformed into resolute exchanges among the survivors. We found the old subway entrance ajar, the shadows blending with distant silhouettes of the resistance that had found solace here. Back to where it all began, the underground veins of Serenost held answers we desperately sought. "Are we clear?" Finn asked, leaning into the edge of the entrance. "For now," I replied, tightening my grip on the makeshift weapon crafted from scrap. "We need to get as many supplies down into the tunnels as we can while ensuring we leave tracks for those above." I stepped inside, and the vibe shifted instantly. The low hum of machinery merged with the faint sounds of hope, a potent reminder that unity long thrived beneath the surface. We spotted familiar faces, those who had shared in our struggles, standing resolute against the tides of despair. "Jeremiah," someone called out, eyes wide with recognition. I turned to see an old ally, Jace, his face weathered but resolute, standing tall among the remnants of shelters. "We thought you were lost." "Never," I said, pride swelling in my chest. "We need to fortify this base, create stability for everyone who enters these walls." "Let's make it sing," Jace replied, determination revitalizing the air. While my heart swelled at the sight of familiarity, I also felt the lurking weight of vigilance. Every moment we spent here galvanized our spirit. This space teemed with potential. We had to share the fragments of technology we had salvaged from the old world, extract what we could from the underbelly of Serenost's many secrets before launching into battle against the arbiters and reclaiming our lives. Asterisk asterisk heroes in shadows asterisk asterisk in the ensuing hours, the shadows began to sing with life, a rhythm of unity thrumming through our efforts. We connected wires, patched broken links, and huddled to share stories. Pulses of determination vibrated through the space, carrying the collective spirit of countless lives intertwined in the quest for freedom. Here, Finn said, showing me a series of diagrams discovered amongst the treasures we'd unearthed. This outlines a route the Arbiters take that we can use to our advantage. I peered over his shoulder, recognizing the markings. If we can mislead them here, create a false trail, they'll have to divert their resources to Reese. Count this area, I said, the realization lighting a fire within. As we strategized, my heart surged with the adrenaline of possibility. We should split our forces, I pressed. One group will create our diversion and lead the Arbiters away while the others slip through to gather supplies. Yes, Vera exclaimed, capturing the thrill of the plans as our voices melded into a chorus of resolve. As the final details began to solidify, an eerie quiet washed over the chamber. The distant sound of electric wings slicing through the atmosphere wound its way into our ears. The Arbiters were prowling, returning for their hunt. Move, I shouted, adrenaline surging wildly as we grabbed what we could, locking glances and hurried exchanges as fate hung in the balance. Together we sprung into action, shadows darting through the sprawling expanse of the old subway network, moving toward the coordinates we had yet to fully comprehend. Asterisk asterisk, the overarching plan, asterisk asterisk, we merged with the current of survivors moving through untouched recesses of the city, their spirits hauntingly reminiscent of our own. The short paths leading into the chaos began to thread the stories together, each step echoing resilience and mandate amidst the brewing storm. As our recon team pressed further into the tunnels, I felt the flicker of unity weaving through our fates, an unbroken chain that had emerged from the dark. The energy pulsated within us, whispers of hope igniting each heart that dared to stand against the tide. Even with our efforts, the Arbiters will push back, Jace warned somberly. They won't be easily ignored. We have to anticipate, I replied, steeling myself against the reality of our struggle. But for every measure they take, we will push harder, defy their unchecked authority. We're stronger united. Asterisk asterisk, the call to arms asterisk asterisk, as the sun included twilight while we prepped for our mission. The air thickened just beyond the horizon. The low rumble of distant tech hovered closer. The specter of the Arbiter's looming assault tugged at the strings of my heart. We have to be quick, I said as we adjusted our makeshift weapons and organized supplies, tightening straps fourfold. We split our forces now. With mission objectives crystal clear, we gathered for one last reaffirmation, breaths mingling under the weight of what lay ahead. This is it, my friends, I began, channeling every ounce of spirit into my words. Our legacy is forged here. What we build today will ripple through history. The stories we embrace shall tell of defiance against the darkness. I watched as a flicker of realization crossed their faces. They were no longer lost or trapped, but warriors prepared to reclaim their destinies. We show them who we are, together, and with that, we split swiftly into our designated teams. Vera led the approached supply route, while Finn and I moved toward the tech sectors that had spilled beneath the facade of power hidden within this city. Asterisk asterisk echoes of resistance asterisk asterisk we crept quietly through the tunnels. Footsteps barely whispering against the dust, the darkness weighed heavy around us while the sounds of machinery roared far too near, brooding against the stillness. The faint glow of lights pulled us onward to our designated points, forming singular moments along secured pathways that surged with every pulse of the city. Almost there, Finn whispered, eyes scanning ahead as we rounded a corner only to encounter a massive collection of tech remnants. Old screens illuminating before us as the remnants of the world hummed back to life. As we moved cautiously within the chambers filled with broken machines, I felt a shift in the air, an unmistakable energy laced with potential, an arrow aimed toward changing fate. This could change everything, I murmured, eyes glimmering as wires flickered back to life under our touch. Finn moved quickly, tracing the diagrams we had unearthed that illuminated our purpose. With this, we can disrupt their communications. Cut them off from one another, he exclaimed, hope ringing through his voice. Every breath quickened as I felt the pulse of rebellion igniting. Let's pull this together, I urged, entering the heart of tech, where remnants of lost memories transformed into vessels of rebellion as we forged the connections needed to enact our plan. This will allow us to fight back. We can create a distraction that will turn their numbers into vulnerability, hold them at bay while others foray into the heart of the city. And as we organized, something powerful flared in that electric moment. A rebirth of purpose forged through shadows of our struggles and destinies intertwined, ready to take shape against the dark expanse ahead. Asterisk asterisk, the collision of forces asterisk asterisk with our efforts solidified. We took the light from the screens into the depths of the underbelly of the world and into the gathering's hands. We retreated back into the safety of shadows, breathless and prepared, ready to enact our meticulously laid plans. As we regrouped to the camp, the atmosphere pulsed with exhilaration, but the fear lingered heavy in the air, taunting our tenacity. The survivors awaited, their faces transformed from worry to determination, each one echoing the ethos we embodied. Today isn't just survival, I pronounced, heart swelling with the burgeoning energy of hope that surged through us. Today is a reclamation of our identities, a return to the very narratives of hope that will shape the future we fight for. As we split further into our groups, I locked eyes with Vera and Essie, drawing upon the energy that had blossomed into this incredible wave. You're all heroes, I affirmed, locking hearts momentarily while we prepared for what lay ahead. Vibrant courage weaved in and out through our connections. The tide of animosity loomed ahead, but we were resolute against the gathering storm. Ready for the dawning fight to reclaim the city of Serenost, ready to carve our light through the shadows. Asterisk asterisk into the battleground asterisk asterisk with signals in place and hearts as one. We stood upon the threshold of the awakening storm. The air crackled as forces gathered beyond. The arbiters, unyielding, guarded our efforts while our zeal blossomed within us like flames against a twilight sky. The first harsh clang of machinery reverberated, slicing through our quiet confidence as we mobilized, adrenaline mapping the pulse of every movement. Together with squad leaders, we executed our plan. Diversions blast above ground, while another force clawed further beneath the layered depths. As Vera's team made their way toward supplies strategizing, Finn and I navigated back toward the tech sector we'd commandeered. And just as we implemented the last flicker of command in the vast web of systems, a sense of urgency crackled to life. Well, we're in position, I confirmed over the comms, anticipation propelling the air around us. Let's move, came Vera's voice, elevating spirits as the teams sprang forth toward the very core, toward destiny. And as our pulse quickened, the ground broke into a chilling epiphany. The arbiters were already upon us, shadows creeping as the metallic force descended into the heart we had come to carve our fates. The cacophony of conflict erupted a terrifying roar, ensnaring each survivor's heartbeat above and below as we stood resolute in the line of combat, fighting not just for survival, but for life unfettered by restraints, each moment stitched together as threads bound by memory. Asterisk asterisk barrier of light asterisk asterisk as the arbiters surged forward. Their figures moved like shadows, but they would find only defiance awaiting them as our forces stood buoyed with unity. The air hummed and buzzed, the revving sound of connection splintering amidst the echoes of resistance as we lit the path with the light of purpose. Our victory begins now, I shouted, charging toward the fray as our collective light burned fiercely against their metallic might. Vera rallied beside me, maneuvering her enhanced devices and scattering pulses of energy that sent shockwaves through their ranks. The mechanical force staggering as we erected barriers forged from defiance. Push them back, harder, I growled, heart racing alongside the rhythm of rebellion. Each blow delivered became a battle hymn echoing through the underground, fortifying an unbreakable corridor anchored in hope as we rose to meet the shadow's head on. I felt pain and sacrifice etched into my soul, intermingling with bright strands of memory. The vivid past dancing forth amid the chaos, whispers igniting fierceness among survivors bound by love. Essie weaved through cracks in the chaos alongside our defenders, a reminder of the childlike bravery that dwelled within each heart now standing at the forefront of defiance. A chain woven together by endless choice. Asterisk asterisk, the unbreakable asterisk asterisk, as we fought with tenacity, the tide began to turn. Waves of rebellion surged through us as shadows fell, echoed by our violent victory against the cloak of despair. Get ready for the final push, Vera called, her energy ablaze as she swept through the fray, igniting every glimmer of resistance in our measures. We pushed at the arbiters with relentless fervor, becoming the second pulse of light blaring brightly against the darkened tide. Our courage became a battle cry, each strike echoing the many lives tethered to our struggle, words binding hearts that beat as one. I drew upon memories of all those we had lost, the flickering flames igniting within, driving our fight, the sacrifice breathed behind every thought, behind courageous acts given life. Suddenly, amid the chaos, I caught sight of a familiar figure, the silhouette of Finn appearing within the swirling vortex of conflict. He pressed onwards, eyes alive with determination as he relayed the new signals, our divided forces reconnecting toward a singular trajectory. Together, Finn roared as we joined forces, propelling ourselves toward the epicenter of the clash, the heart of darkness that had ruled Serenost. Asterisk asterisk, the dawn of reclamation asterisk asterisk, as we surged fiercely against the arbiter's control. The tide of our rebellion surged higher and higher. The air thickened with pulses of energy, electricity thrumming through our veins until we could hardly differentiate one heartbeat from another, until light began to shatter the darkness looming ahead. In a moment that felt both eternal and fleeting, we pressed through and reached the command point. As I gazed upon the digital array pulsating with power, I knew we had reached the heart of it all, the hub we had come to commandeer and turn against those who sought to suppress us. "Well, let's finish this," I shouted above the din, charging into the heart of the operations, fingers dancing alongside the panels of shattered circuitry that pulsed in time with our hearts. It was time to reclaim this power and reforge it into a weapon of hope. The world around me twisted, taunting as I accessed the heart of the system. The hum of energy began to sputter around us, intertwining savagely with the chaos swirling inside. "This is it. We can turn their systems against them," I exclaimed, hot breath mingling with adrenaline as a wave surged through me. We redirected the systems, sending pulses of confusion cascading through the arbiters, relentless in their pursuit, each moment carving whispers into the darkness as energy coursed through every cell. The machines whirred and faltered, fizzling on the edge of disarray. And the longer we fought, the deeper the threads of fate shifted, lives woven intertwined against the brutal storm that might shatter. Asterisk asterisk, reclaiming the darkness asterisk asterisk, now. Activate the Guardians, I shouted to Vera as the arbiters began to stumble. With renewed energy pulsing from our core, we unleashed the Guardians' blocks of defensive force that would protect us as we ignited the chains of hope threading through despair. A cauldron of lights surged forth, elevating as we had done before, the energy thrumming wildly as it traveled through the net. The cracks inside the arbiters' ranks igniting into blinding stardust, resonating through the air. All around us, we felt the arc of unyielding potential erupt. The arbiters faltered. Their mechanical silhouettes stumbled prior to us as we pressed into the fray, bracing collectively against sinks of chaos. We unleashed the light of hope embodied within our souls against the breaking shadows. A push forward, I rallied as we made our next moves toward sequences of resistance, technology singing its haunting lullabies as the machines scrambled, disarrayed by our spirit, disrupted by little warriors of light whose fates shattered the darkness. Asterisk asterisk, the turning tides asterisk asterisk, and then, as the momentum shifted almost imperceptibly, I felt the pulse of it against my skin, a fabric woven not only with courage, but with memories of those who had come before us, those whose legacies still surged through our veins. "We'll bring them down," I shouted as our spirits ignited into a fierce blaze amid the depths of anguish and struggle. The cacophony that erupted felt empowering. We were the storms breaching the gates, ready to reclaim our home. As the tide of battle waged on, faces turned bright, cheers puncturing the air like welcomed signals of victory, while the last remnants of the arbiters surrendered beneath waves of humanity. With determination rooted at the heart of our collective purpose, we moved closer to achieving what once felt unattainable, turning shadows into avenues of bravery lived loud. Changing fate finally, as we stood amid the remnants of both triumph and tragedy, I turned to scan our collective face, the unbreakable spirit that had carried us thus far. Each breath once heavy was now drenched in purpose as flickers of life pulsed within us, like luminescence giving birth to resurrection. "A Jeremiah, look," Vera called out, beckoning for my gaze as she pointed toward the wide expanse before us, the storied entrance to a world once draped in shadows, now embracing the shimmering dawn of reclamation. "Are we free?" Essie's voice resonated, the soft bells of innocence amidst the march celebrating victory amidst uncertainty. "Yes," I breathed, all coloring my tone. "We have risen, we have crafted light from the darkness. It pulses within us, we have returned." And as we moved toward the light, our feet no longer cloaked in shadows, but stepping boldly out into the radiance of a world renewed, our souls intertwined began dancing together through unseen currents, a legacy sown forever in the chronicles of that which had once been lost, now echoed in the hearts of those resolute to walk forward. We transformed chaos into strength, a symphony of empowerment that blared across the resurrection of our city. We were no longer merely survivors hidden beneath the surface. We had become champions of change, illumined representatives ready to revive the drive of hope. A bond unbroken, shielding the very essence of what humanity could carry forth against the tyranny of shadows. The dawn of a new era as the last vestiges of battle faded behind us. A shaft of sunlight pierced the canopy of the remnants, illuminating the victorious hearts emerging toward rebirth. The city, once lost, now stood abloom with stories and possibilities, a testament inscribed in the resilience of those who dared stand firm. Together, we carved an everlasting legacy that rippled through the core of Serenost, the echoes of past memories interwoven with flickers of future beginnings, ready to forge new destinies, tide by tide, heart by heart. "Let's build a world worth fighting for," I said, boldly embracing the horizon before us as we carried our newfound strength into the unfolding brilliance of tomorrow. And with every step we took forward, we shaped our narrative, a move toward a light that transcended the thresholds of history. Here, amid the stories of hope, humanity surged into resurrection, a revolution thriving against the shadows of the past, ready to reclaim the future. This was ours to embrace, our legacy extending far beyond the battle at hand, a tale woven through resilience, echoing into eternity. Our time had finally come,